Hey everybody, welcome to day three's little tutorial. Hopefully days 1 and 2 went smoothly again. Again, just make sure before moving on to day three, you really should have completed the first 3 pages here under task 4. All right, so if you look on the side here, the first 3 pages, you could have possibly went on to 4 and 5. They're more like challenge questions, but you definitely at least had to work on day 2, actually applying the relationships with these angles. Now, the first couple hopefully were pretty straightforward. As you can see, and you move through this, it should have got a little more difficult where you're actually going to have to set up and solve an equation. Like I said, the first and most important thing is that you can identify what the relationship is, what's the name of the angles that you have. So, for instance, if you look at number 5, to me, when I see these, I notice that both of these are in the top right corner. If you look at them here, top right to top right, they would be corresponding angles. I'm going to abbreviate CORR. Well, I know personally that corresponding angles, that's step one, I know what they are equal to each other. So it's really important. It really helps guide you as far as knowing the vocabulary helps guide you, and you know exactly what you're going to do with the expressions once you identify what they are. So hopefully you didn't have too much trouble with that. Again, you should be emailing us if you had any issues. So day 3, you look back at this, right? So really checking number 2 is the stations. And that's honestly really all you have to get done today, all right? It's pages 1 through 18. The stations are going to start out, and we're calling them easy because I think, well, they're relatively easy. And of course, they're going to get a little bit harder, and that's why we're calling them the medium stations. That is a graded assignment that will be graded and checked when we return from our trip. Over here on the right, we're going to start with day 3. If you click that, the quick little warm up, just asking you, all it wants you to do is give us an example of each of the type of angles you've seen. So corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior, same side interior, etc. Just to kind of jog your memory. And then really you're starting on page 3 is where the actual stations begin. So station 1, right, you can see is considered easy. So the first 8, I would consider them easy where they're giving you one of the angles and you're going to use the relationships you've seen and the fact that these are parallel, which is telling us that they are, in order to identify the degree measure of all of the rest of the remaining angles. You're going to continue that process until you get to page 10, I believe it is. Looks like actually, apologies, 11, where the medium stations work. So again, it's going to ask you to identify a relationship. In this example, looks like we're looking at the measure of angle ABE. Me personally, I really recommend that you highlight here. So ABE, using my colors, that's the beauty of OneNote, goes from A to B to E. So we're looking at this acute angle here. Now we need to find a relationship between angle ABE and angle EBC. And if I look, it looks like angle EBC goes from here to here when I'm highlighting in blue. So these actually do overlap. They share a ray, so they're definitely adjacent. Me personally, when I look at this, there's got to be some sort of a relationship between these two adjacent angles. And since they're next to each other, and if I look at the rotation, remember angles are all about rotation, it looks like they rotate from here to here. That's the first angle. And then if I continue that rotation all the way around, you should see this like half circle, this semicircle, or in other words, they form a straight line. A semicircle, half circle rotation is 180 degrees. A straight line or straight angle is a rotation of 180 degrees. So together, these two look like they add up to 180, right? So this is pretty much how the rest of this stations is going to go. And to be honest, if you can do these stations, you should be feeling pretty comfortable with this material and be ready for your quiz when we return. Um, Keep in mind, you only have to go up to the very last station, which is station 8 on page 18. When you start on 19, these are some challenging questions. So there's several what we would call hard stations where there's quite a bit going on. Obviously, the pictures are going to get more complicated. It's not going to stay as simple as just 2 parallel lines and 1 transversal. When you're solving a problem like this, it's really important to try and do your best to make sure that you highlight, use the tools of OneNote, use the colors to help highlight which 2 lines are you considering your transversals. Like for instance, if I'm trying to figure out angle 2, hopefully it's pretty obvious that line A is one of the two parallel lines, right, that helps create that angle, and the transversal, which I highlighted in red, looks like line C, right? If I want to find a relationship to angle 22, maybe those are the two, or three, excuse me, lines that I want to look at or relate them to. It's really important to try and use the colors to highlight, and then of course you can just kind of redraw it off to the side. Try and relate it back to the simple picture that you're used to, and see if you can find a relationship that way. So it can be kind of tough, but if you use the colors, it's actually a really useful tool. But again, you only need to do the hard stations and anything beyond page 18 if you already got done everything else. And keep in mind, they do get pretty difficult. The pictures get pretty complicated, and you're going to really have to use your noggin to answer these questions. But again, they're totally not mandatory. So to quickly recap, before you move on to day 3, make sure you completed everything for day 2, especially anything and everything that's going to be graded and checked on our return. But the main thing you have to focus on today is the stations. Make sure you get those done. And of course, again, if you have any questions, please feel free to email us and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Good luck with everything. We'll catch you on Monday, get you caught up. As for the moment, we're probably going to have a quiz on Tuesday, but we'll see how it goes Monday. See you later, guys.